It's a bright and freezing December morning at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota, but someone here is on the hunt. He's chasing down a drop of knowledge in an ocean of material, doing research the old-fashioned way. With the advent of online research tools, this has become a lost art for many. But Gage knows there is something more enriching by physically interacting with the text. He has a feeling that he might just pick up something extra from this endeavor. So he searches on. The search can be tedious. It's not for the impatient. You won't always find what you're looking for right away. And there can be a lot of disappointments. But sometimes success requires just a little extra stretch. He sees it. He's got it. Now the question is, can I find what I'm looking for within these walls as well? Recently, I became interested in researching a symbol commonly referred to as the flower of life. What you see here. Finding the origins of this symbol has a twofold benefit. First, it contains particular geometric shapes, circles and triangles overtly, but also a grid. From this grid, which is made up of the intersections of the circles, all the Platonic solids can be drawn by connecting certain combinations of intersections. Whatever time and place we can trace this symbol to is important, because from such a trace we will know what the people of that locale and era were doing geometrically, that they were very close to discovering particular and complex geometric truths. Secondly, finding its origins will work to battle off the pseudoscience which has recently engulfed the symbol in mystery. Because of this, the symbol has proven particularly difficult to research. Let me explain. Before the internet, the library was how textual information was researched, almost exclusively. Your directory was a real person, an expert in seeking out knowledge through waves of books and steering you away from bad research. What we call a librarian. Nowadays, many researchers rely on an entirely different mechanism, though, the modern search engine. The transition from the library to the search engine has had some troubling consequences. Pseudoscience. It's defined as a theory, a methodology, or practice that is considered to be without scientific foundation. When physical books were the main source of knowledge, much more of this false science was filtered out by editors, publishing houses, peer reviewers, and librarians. But the internet, despite all its benefits, allows a much broader field of people to become authors. Bad researchers have taken advantage of this across almost all fields of study. To sum it up, pseudoscience, while it's always been around, is now easier than ever to find. It plagues the papers, research, and beliefs of those who have put too much faith into the web and may have forgotten or never been taught how to hunt for specific knowledge among thousands of hand-selected works in a real library. Here's my problem. Because the so-called flower of life has been hailed as a sacred object by several New Age zealots, it has gained cult following, which has rendered an academic pursuit of it via internet nearly impossible. Apparently none of these people know or care to reference their statements and images. Watch. There is literally nothing about the flower of life that I can use as references from any of the Google search results. They all lead to nowhere. Every piece of information is pulled from a New Age author. From this, I'm left with only one option. A hunt. It's time to get off of these websites and go somewhere substantial. Here, I've compiled every book I could find that the library has on historic symbols. Then I went through and narrowed down the pile by looking at tables of contents and scanning the pages. I discarded all those I know probably won't help me out, and I kept the ones that looked even remotely promising. At this point, it's a step forward to find even the smallest clue. I was tipped off, if that term can be used, by a self-proclaimed New Age fanatic's home webpage that the flower of life could be traced back to 8000 BC, to the Osirian, the Temple of Abydos. So I was sure to pick up some books on Egyptian symbols and history, just in case this might be true. Sadly, it was the best clue I had garnered from the internet as to the symbol's origins. I flipped through every single page of the books I found, and after much tedious effort, began to find some more clues. In The Gods and Symbols of Ancient Egypt, an illustrated dictionary by Manfred Lurker, I was able to find a few things, at least giving an idea as to where the flower of life may have originated. The first was, naturally, a flower. Maybe depictions like these inspired the flower of life in full form. But, remember, I'm looking for a bunch of overlapping circles. Let's start with finding one circle. Turns out it isn't hard to find a circle in Egyptian antiquity. In fact, there are tons of them. The problem is that they are all non-overlapped and usually alone. There are a few reasons for this. First, the sun was sacred to the Egyptians, which explains its frequent depiction. The sun is alone in the sky, which explains its depiction as a single circle as well. It only stands to reason why they would depict it as such, and so frequently. Secondly, the Egyptian ring symbol, as Lurker calls it, or unfilled circle, represented infinity. I wonder if it is possible the circle so consistently represented the sun and infinity in ancient Egypt, that to break a circle or overlap it onto another would have been a religious taboo. Remember that hint I was following from a pseudoscience website? Behold, the Osirian near the ancient location of Abydos. I know that ruins here date back to the first Egyptian dynasty sometime around 3000 BC, if not further. This is where the unreliable web pages claim the flower of life originated. Robert Lawler, in his book Sacred Geometry, gives us some good ideas as to why the Osirian might have either actually housed engravings of the flower of life, or just happened to be a convenient place of antiquity for New Age religion to superimpose the flower of life symbol, in an attempt to make their claims seem grounded in ancient history, and thus more legitimate. Here's what I've found. The Osirian's architecture does in fact use precise geometry. It also focuses on the god Osiris, who is closely tied to rebirth and rejuvenation, some of the same themes focused on by the New Age religions so entranced by the flower of life symbol. But is there much evidence the flower of life originated here? Not much, if any, from the research I have done. Still, I would like someday to visit Abydos myself and have a very good look around. Until then, connections between Abydos and the flower of life symbol will remain inconclusive. To help gauge who might actually have been capable of drawing a flower of life symbol, I decided to draw it myself. When you try and draw the flower of life, it's not as easy as it looks. This took me over 10 minutes. I knew exactly what I was going for, and I had an outline of a circle. This begs the question, could a primitive human being have drawn this image, or one without modern knowledge? When were we capable of doing such a thing? Essentially, the symbol is made of interconnecting circles. Surely this base ingredient could have been stumbled upon by an early human. It's easy to understand how a primitive human being could have learned to draw the circle by itself.
Do I think that an individual 10,000 years ago could have drawn the circle of life? maybe. I don't think it would have been an individual. It would have had to be a group of people.
But if not the Egyptians, then who? I agree, probably a religious group and a civilized one, seeing as it typically took power and wealth as well as certain technologies not available to the prehistoric individual to preserve complex images or ideas. But what group could have done this and when? The Egyptians were probably not the creators of this symbol, but after scouring the library once again, I finally found a clue which led to something concrete. A drawing in a book, Christian Iconography, a study of its origins, by Andre Graybar, matched perfectly with a section of the Flower of Life. This led me to find a real picture of an identical symbol dating back to sometime between 300 and 400 AD. This picture was taken at the ruins of the Jewish synagogue at Capernaum in Israel. Upon further searches, I found nothing more, but I am very satisfied with this lead because I am convinced that the people who carved these symbols must have used circles to trace the spokes within this image. How else would they have made the curvature so precisely in line with the Flower of Life symbol? Although the iconography of Hinduism and Far Eastern religions seem to more closely match the Flower of Life in its style, and certainly could have preceded and influenced the carvings at Capernaum, the research I have done in this area has turned up nothing helpful. The ancient Far East would definitely be an area for further exploration, though, but that will have to be saved for another day. Consider yourself warned that thanks to an aggressive form of pseudoscience and a lack of visible academic interest in this symbol, research on this subject requires very traditional and tedious methods. Still, I encourage you to give this investigation a shot. Find something I missed, and let's get to the bottom of the mystery of the origins of the Flower of Life.